Doing, man?
Good question. Very good question.
I had an awesome conversation with Dan Kushel on Friday, and
Okay.
that was really fun. He
Cool.
celebrated his 300th episode for his Growth to Freedom show.
Nice.
And he was doing a joint celebration for that and his 30 years in business. So it was really kind of cool. And he was doing a fun, he said it was a long 14-hour day of like back-to-back interviews with people. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to seeing if there's any feedback from it.
Was it just audio podcast or was it audio and video?
No, it was on Zoom, just like what we're doing now, just in the Zoom format. So it's like, two screens or whatever, flipping back and forth.
Right.
But Dan asked great questions and, I didn't prepare for it. I just went, spur of the moment off the top of the head. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I was, so I'll tell you something interesting.
Okay.
I have this new thing that popped up, and I'm gonna keep all the names out of it for now, because nothing's 100% yet. But someone in mortgage protection got in touch with me.
Cool.
And back in the day, over 10 years ago, there was a company that hired me for one of my $25,000 a day consultations. And they were the largest player in the mortgage protection and mortgage insurance industry at the time by a long shot. And they hired me because they had this huge organization that had thousands and thousands and thousands of agents who were basically phone salespeople, but it was all organized like an MLM, where you'd recruit people and they come in underneath you and you build your sales team and the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But the way the whole thing was fueled was with direct mail, which the mortgage protection and mortgage insurance industry largely still is. And so the model is basically they get records of people who purchased mortgages, right? And then got mortgages on their homes. And then they would do direct mail campaigns to them. And then there'd be different ways of the people responding to their direct mail campaigns. And ultimately they'd get on the phone and people would sell them mortgage insurance and mortgage protection insurance. Massive lead flow, massive lead generation system. No personality whatsoever. It was all very transactional and very money driven for everybody involved. And so it's really interesting. Anyway, years ago, we created this amazing program that like cut down the speed from when a lead came in to when their salespeople could call them from like days to minutes. And it dramatically increased the value of these leads. And so the reason I'm telling you this story is because I recently just started speaking with someone who's running a very similar model. And what I realized while we're talking about email, we were talking about email bonding and personality and ways of connecting and communicating with these leads in a much more human way, right? And as we were talking this through, I asked the individual whether or not they wanted to be the face or the personality of the business, because inevitably, if we're going to be sending email, we need to decide who we're sending the email from, right? And I wasn't surprised when they said no. They didn't want to be the face of the business. I said, that's interesting. I had no idea this conversation was going to be about creating an email mascot for your business, but here we are. And I realized in the insurance industry and many industries, they follow suit. And so the Geico Gecko has been very successful for somewhere between 15 and 20 years, I think. I wonder how old the Geico Gecko is, or at least how old the popularization of the Geico Gecko is. I don't really know the answer, but what I do know What I do know is that many businesses in the insurance world have created brand mascots after seeing the Geico Gecko being successful as a way of creating some personality for their otherwise largely nameless, faceless business, right? And so I'm very excited to be working on some email mascot stuff in that space again.
Very cool.
I guess that's one of the things that I have possibly coming up in 2021. What about you? Nice. What are you thinking about for 2021?
Well, Jean over in the Art of Email Marketing says, "Egad." So I'm assuming that's like she's not even thinking about 2021 yet. Well, it's interesting. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on the horizons in different capacities, but probably one of the most exciting things is going to be a SaaS project that I've been working on.
Yeah,
and that's exciting.
Is that starting to come together more? We haven't talked about that in a while. Yeah,
it's starting to come together. It's got lots left to do, but it's going to be something pretty spectacular besides what it started out as. We're gonna launch there with the minimum viable product, but the potential for it to be a whole lot more and is very exciting. So I'm pumped about that.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. And so what about you guys? What all are our wonderful viewers? What do you have planned? What are you thinking about? What are you hoping for? What are you aiming at creating in the upcoming year? This isn't necessarily a New Year's resolution, but if it is, hey, that's great. What types of things are you looking forward to personally, business-wise? What's happening next for you? I'm really hoping to start ramping up my long-distance running mileage and get back into ultra marathoning on a much higher level. I want to start racing again more and really clocking in some serious hours and some, like mega miles on a much more daily basis.
Jean says her subscription products. All right, Jean.
Nice.
Anything specific about that you want to share?
Jean, I would love it if you would if you're up for it, just kind of tell people who you are and what you're selling, because Jean is very cool. She's done some. Well, I could speak for you, or you could speak for yourself. I'll just say, if you type some things in, it would be great. I'm sure you'll say different things than I'll say, and different things than Joshua would say. But Jean is an artist, and she specializes in coastal art largely, and has an Etsy store and reproduces her images on a wide variety of different physical items, right? And is always experimenting with this, and recently turned her art business into a subscription box, and a coastal art oriented subscription box, and is doing t-shirts and is doing buoys and is doing paintings and doing all sorts of super cool stuff. Not to mention coloring books. That's right. So awesome.
So Jean, you say sell more subscriptions and plan a big launch. Great. Okay. How many by when, girl?
That's right. Oh, she feels it now. Feet to the fire.
Well, sell more subscriptions is nebulous.
I know.
One more, and
I totally agree.
Let's call it a day.
Nebulous as the ever living bejesus. So let's see. Joshua, do you have any thoughts or projects or interests that you're exploring outside of business in 2021?
Probably not. Marilyn said that, not me. Wait, let me see.
It must have been Marilyn Zink.
Oh, sorry. I just assumed, because I saw the chain and it fit perfectly, Jean, with what you were saying anyway. All right. Well, then, Marilyn, I have the same thought for you. What's like how many by when type goals?
That's right.
I think a more personal goal is to get back to more reading on a fiction and stuff. I got really hooked on fiction a couple of years ago and read every single like suspense type novel, and I'm a big fan of David Balducci and those type of writers. And I was reading like one book every 2 or 3 days, which for
I don't
me,
even know who that is. Who's David Balducci?
oh man, he wrote a whole bunch of. He's got some great characters, but he's the one that wrote the movie Absolute Power.
Mm-hmm. I don't
With,
think I watched it, but I think I remember it.
it was
Yeah.
back in the 90s, I think. It was
Oh.
that was probably one of his first. That's a standalone. It's not a series with, you know, an ongoing character, but he does a lot of like CIA spies type stuff.
Yeah.
I love and he's just a great writer, and he's really does suspense well, and you know, he's like I have this knack for being able to figure out like about 3 chapters in how the story ends.
Right.
It's just part of how I'm wired, and with his it takes me longer.
Right.
Like he keeps me going, and it's good, and even if I can figure it out, the read and the journey is enjoyable anyway. Like like there's twists and turns there. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that, because it was a time like I don't read very fast at all. And I got hooked about like, I don't know, maybe in 2018 thereabouts. And I was reading literally a book every 2-3 days. And for me, that's like, you know, outrageous.
Right.
And I was doing like Michael Connolly type stuff with Harry Bosch, and of course Jack Reacher. You know, the love Jack Reacher. But I was like, I'm kind of like metering those out because I had read the whole series, and you know, like I was like savoring the last ones to catch up on it. So I haven't, like I've fallen a few behind on all of it, because I haven't been reading much for pleasure this year at all. So that would be something on a personal note I'd like to get back to.
Cool. Yeah, I don't generally do a lot of reading either. Yeah, I do a lot of listening to audiobooks while I'm driving. And sometimes I get into listening to audiobooks while I'm running, but usually when I'm running, I don't even like listening to anything. But what's going on?
I'm just I wanted to see now, before I made a mistake, of who is calling us ball busters. It's Gene.
That's right. I'm hoping to do a lot more kind of adrenaline-inducing like life-risking action sports. But I've been wanting to do a lot more of those, but since a little bit before COVID hit. But the problem is, like, if you're gonna go hang gliding, or you're gonna go bungee jumping, or you're gonna go skydiving, or you know, you need to get trained, and usually that somewhere involves somebody else touching you, you know. And so it's like I've been like, how do I learn how to go? I've been skydiving several times, but it was always tandem. You know, I think three or four times I've been skydiving, so I've never done it by myself. And I'm like, how do you learn how to go skydiving by yourself, or you know,
Were you with me and Dan when we went the paracraft thing down here?
No.
My buddy, well, you remember my friend Paul Deaver? He took us on this paracraft thing, which is basically a go-kart with a parachute that, like, basically you paraglide, but in a go-kart type thing where you get some forward momentum. It was a lot of fun, actually.
Nice.
But that's about as daring as I get for parachuting type stuff.
Yeah, no, I really have I used to like doing a lot of that stuff, but I've never had like a core group of friends that were like extreme life riskers, you know, and so just kind of doing that on your own is a little weird. I think I'm going to get into it.
Did you jump the needle in New Zealand?
I did. I mean, it definitely is nerve-wracking when you do that, but I mean, even that is so controlled. You know what I mean? Like it's such a tourist attraction. Like, is it adrenaline-inducing? Yes, but it's like thousands of pounds of gear to make sure that there's no possible way you could ever die. You know, versus, you know, jumping out of an airplane with a little bag attached to your back. Like that seems a little bit more, you know, putting something on the line.
Okay. You have fun with that.
Nah, you know, wakes me up. So anyway, I'm hoping for more life-risking adventures in 2021, but I'm trying to get around how to maintain social distance while getting trained with this stuff. Haven't cracked the code on that yet.
That's a tough one.
Learn how to pack your own parachute at home from a DIY YouTube video. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
That doesn't sound too thrilling, no.
You know, it doesn't seem like the right way to go to make sure you're learning it right, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got late to January to early February for the launch.
Great.
And Gene is choosing to call us ball busters instead of, nailing its stuff down.
Marilyn, how many, like, are you launching some sort of a subscription business, or are you launching like a new $1,000 course, or what are you actually launching? And so the question is, when is your launch? So that's a date. Now is a great time for you to set the date. And how much money are you going to make?
Or, well, even if you don't want to keep it in terms of the dollars, like what kind of enrollments are you looking at?
Right.
Like how many would you like to have? Would you like to have 100? Would you like to have 500, 1,000?
Are you aiming for like a $25,000 launch, and you're going to launch on January 18th is a good day to launch. You know why?
Let me guess. It's somebody's birthday that isn't me.
January 18th is the day I got launched. You could totally launch on my birthday. I'd be honored if you did that, Marilyn. I think that's honestly, I think that's probably the single best decision you could make in your life. Frankly, I think and you could even tell the world that you're launching on my birthday, and I mean, everyone would buy from you on that one element alone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important.
Super important. Super important. I mean, everybody already has my birthday memorized on the planet anyway, so I mean, it would only make sense. Might as well align with the momentum of the universe and launch on my birthday. I've noticed that the chat thread has gone silent. So good. So good. So for those of you that are watching, what's up?
I was just going to say that I was going to tee up the conversation that when I was running the 2 Comma Club, my newsletter, before I sold it, I'd have an August edition every August for the 4 years that I ran it. I would have Happy New Year's in August and what's your New Year's resolution? And because in and about August is when I would start planning out my, what's on the plate for the upcoming years for what I was going to accomplish, and primarily and professionally in business. And it was interesting because it was always a conversation starter, because people like to, give the New Year's resolutions literally on, December 31st and January 1st. And, within like 7 to 10 days afterwards, they've already broken their resolutions. And, it feels good for a second, but that's not really any kind of planning or goal setting or any kind of bankable things that you can work on. So I got in the habit of literally, when business was kind of slow in August, I would hibernate away, go on a retreat or something and start really doing detailed planning for the upcoming year. And that's what I, started sharing with my my subscribers to the newsletter. And it seemed to be catching on pretty popular. And, I kind of got away from doing that myself, actually, but it's interesting to think about that, because that's an important, portion. I mean, you can't live too much in the vision of what you're going to do, but you got to have enough of a plan about what's next,
right?
So that you're always moving towards something.
Right. Well, so check this out, right? So there are a lot of different ways to set goals. And one of the things that I would really encourage you guys to think about is how and we're kind of giving Marilyn and Gene a hard time about this a few minutes ago, is how you go about setting your goals. Because and there's no one philosophy, but I can tell you that the best one is mine. No, I actually created a whole course a few years ago called the Goal Getting System, and it's about how to set goals that you're almost guaranteed to hit and will move you forward toward what you're trying to accomplish in your life. And so the how much by when philosophy is a huge piece to that puzzle. There's we did an acronym for MAGIC goal setting. And, as long as you check off each one of the boxes of the MAGIC acronym, it's, dialed in. And one of the biggest pieces is that people set immeasurable goals. And that's what the M in MAGIC stands for, is measurable, is, and I had heard this many times before and I had practiced it before, but it really hit home for me, I think in Strategic Coach. The way Dan Sullivan put it, is you can hit a goal. And when you want a measurable goal, it needs to be measured in either numbers or by a specific event that occurs that's observable by somebody other than you. Right? Meaning that you can't set a goal as when I feel happy. I want to feel happy for 2021.
Yeah, well, that's subjective.
It's a bullshit goal, right?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but it's not a concrete goal of, that we're talking about here in terms of moving some measurable distance forward that you can then say, but you could certainly set a goal. I mean, I disagree. I mean, because there's a lot of times that people aren't happy and they're just getting through the day. They're not enjoying and engaging in the day. And so I think that is a very important aspect, but it is definitely a subjective, it can be a situation where you got to be careful that you're not using that as a cop-out.
Well, I'm not saying it's a bad idea to focus on being happy. Personally, I could use a little bit more of that. However, it's virtually impossible to measure it. It's unattainable, right? Happiness as an emotion, as a feeling, all feelings come and go. And so what you could say is, I want to get better at making myself happy. And that would be, or I want to feel happy more often. Well, that's a good starting point, but again, it's not a measurable
How do you know when you got there?
Well, maybe I'm going to start journaling every day and rating my happiness on a scale of 1 to 10, writing about why. Well, that and step one is to become more aware of my happiness. Maybe another goal would be to enroll and utilize the training in some sort of an online course about happiness and personal fulfillment. I'm gonna take a course on happiness, and learn about how to make myself happier. That's an achievable goal, right? Makes a big difference. But whatever you're doing, whatever you're going for, in terms of the end goal, what you're trying to get to, the key is make sure it's measurable numerically or by an event that occurs outside of yourself. And so a way of measuring something numerically is, I'm going to launch my new email course, right? Before March 31st. And I want to sell $50,000. Yeah, I'm gonna aim to sell $50,000 worth of training in that launch. Okay, that's a financial goal, and there's a deadline there. Deadlines, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, though I have enormous personal resistance around them, deadlines move mountains. If you cook a deadline right into your goal, chances of you hitting it just go through the roof. Bottom line, they go through the roof. So I encourage you to have a solid, specific deadline, make it measurable numerically, or if there's no numeric measurement, then you can do something like, I want to launch my book and make it a New York Times bestseller. That's the goal, is to launch the book and make it a New York Times bestseller. And that's an award, right? That you can achieve, that is achievable.
And it does have specific numbers to back it up that it takes to achieve that. So there is something that you can break down.
Right. But how do you know when you're a New York Times bestseller? Well, the New York Times tells you, right? Like you get the email, or you get the listed on their website, or whatever. And so super, super, super helpful when setting goals. And so I'm curious, who's got the gumption to set a goal or work on improving their goal? Do you want to talk about goals? So far, it's been quiet today.
Well, and we do have to wrap pretty soon, so I don't know how far we want to get, given that this is such an engaging topic that everybody is jumping on.
Yeah, you know what I would say is we can talk more about goals later as we get a little bit closer to the new year. And
yeah, we'll just build the anticipation since it's so damn popular, and we'll keep people
so popular right now. Yeah, people are just like going bananas, like just typing in their goals out of nowhere. It's like I'm surprised Facebook can keep up with the comment stream right now.
I know, right? It's smoking.
Yeah. All right, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Joshua, a pleasure as always. I'm on it. That's
cool.
That's great. All right, that's great. Join us tomorrow, and be ready to set some specific goals so we can kick it into high gear moving into next year. Oh, look at that rhymed. That's right. That's right. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks. Talk to you. Bye.